pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop. Pit stop. It's a pit stop.
And we are back with your Purple Pants podcast, Pitstop Summer Rewatch of Amazing Race, Season 15, Episode 1. I am joined by the winner of Amazing Race, Season 29, Miss Brooke Camhi.
Honestly, I need you to introduce me everywhere I go. Hi, how are you?
Baby, I just watched this first episode and I got a lot to say, okay? And mainly about, well, I mean, sorry, I don't mean to jump right into
I
it.
know.
But listen, this is the summer rewatch. I have a lot of mechanical issues with this season, okay? And also, if you haven't watched, our cast assessment of Amazing Race Season 15 is out. Go back and listen to it. Baby, I was spot on.
You were pretty good.
I was
At one point, I thought you were cheating.
I was spot on with about 4 or 5 of these people. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I want to believe you about, is it Jesus, the Jesus team, baby? Woo!
That's Micah and Kanan, for anyone
Micah
who doesn't know
and
who
Kanan.
the Jesus team is.
Okay, Jesus himself. They're interesting. I mean, do we want to get into it or do?
Yeah, let's. You can do your thing. Yeah, no, go crazy.
I got a
favorites
team out the gate. And I don't know if it's because I'm looking for my Sharna and Myrna, but baby.
Is it Maria and Tiffany?
Maria and Tiffany are giving me life, okay? Not the first 32 seconds they arguing, but also like, I'll get into all of how I feel about them, but I have to just give this first take because I had to call Brooke as I started watching this episode. I said, do these girls have rolling book bags? This is the first time I am seeing somebody roll their book bag. What the hell is going on?
I think this is the first time that somebody rolled a book bag. There's a team from season 21 who famously has rolly bags, 2 gentlemen. And I feel like nobody talks about Maria and Tiffany, but these 2 are rolling suitcases.
What is going on? And again, I have to remember this is 2009. I feel like during this era, it was like the Gap one strap book bag. And I think this is like the time that the Rolly book bags were making their appearance. I never had one, didn't want one, but seeing Maria and Tiffany Rolly's book bags or episode 1, also at our rewatch, episode 1 is like a 90-minute episode, which I wasn't expecting that. I think that is great. But baby, why they hating on Maria and Tiffany? They are my girls, okay? They are my girls. I do have a lot of cuss outs to give. Brian, stay ready. Lance, I feel like I have to keep my Lance shades on because Lance is going to be a problem. But I mean, and then mind you, I watched the episode, I tried to take notes, but then I was getting some of the teams mixed up. So again, the Jesus Christ team, Micah and Kanan. Now you definitely can't mix up Garrett and Jessica after this episode, but it is like who is it? It's Megan and Cheyenne or Cayenne and
Shane.
Micah and Kanan. I mixed them up a lot, so you'll have to help me because I have cuss outs for them too, specifically when we get to the detour. But okay, listen,
they're nothing alike. So you'll see. But okay.
But also, Mr. Phil, I do gotta okay, but yeah, let's get into it because I gotta cuss out for Phil too. Because the nerve of you to waste my time, Amazing Race. Okay, I didn't have
They were trying something new. They were keeping it fresh. They were doing something different. In all fairness, they don't do this again. So don't worry. It's not going to happen again. But I believe you're talking about the fact that 12 teams went to the start line and only 11 teams got to leave the start line. That's just so cruel.
That is horrible. These
And
people.
the teams didn't know about it until they got there. Like, they all thought they were about to go around the world. And it's like in some ditch in the middle of LA. It's like, you're not even going to leave this ditch. Like, it's not
I don't
great
love
if
it.
you're Eric and Lisa, but otherwise.
But listen, this is what I will say though. I wouldn't mind this twist in a returnee season.
Oh, that's
Because
mean.
like it is, but it isn't, right? Like it's like right off the bat. But what I did love about this twist was towards the end, when it was like the last 6 teams left, baby, you could see it on their faces. Like it was, well, no, I mean, not even read your
The
clue.
answer was in your clue. The answer was in your clue. They're never
Okay.
gonna. So here's what's happened. Here is what happens. Phil tells us about a new challenge at the start line. There's, I don't know, 1,000 plus license plates lined up on a chain link fence, and there are 11 of them that are the same, that have basically the language of the country that they're going to at the top of the license plate. It's written at the top of the clue, because the Amazing Race will never expect you to know, is it Japanese? That just wouldn't happen. Like, there's got to be something in your clue. Most of the teams just start running over to the chain link fence, and this challenge, which is cruel and brutal, but I think also awesome. Phil says the world is waiting. Good luck. Travel safe. I get chills float out of my body. And he says go. And everyone catapults themselves to this chain link fence. You have to fly to Tokyo, and the license plate has a little thing of the city where you're going on the top. Nobody looks at the clue. I mean,
Zev and Justin.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay. We liking this team. And also I feel like what's the dad's son? Gary and Matt.
Mm-hmm.
Gary and Matt was on it. But yeah, that the way I was laying in my bed, because also let me just set up my summer rewatch for y'all. Okay. We recorded the cast assessment. Brooke calling my phone. Did you watch it? Did you watch it? Did you watch it? No, girl. I have to watch at night. Okay. I had to order me a little Uber Eats. Okay. Have my little tray table pulled up to my bed. I'm laying down. I had to go back to the kitchen to get my juice. I had ordered little peel and pick shrimp and some broccoli. So I'm like,
in your bed?
Yes. Well, like
You're
I have a little tray.
Shrimp okay, I was gonna say. All right.
Listen. Judge-free zone here. I'm a single man. Okay. AOL dating is not working for me. Okay. My name isn't Marcy. And I am like,
now. It is now.
I'm mid shrimp. Okay. And I'm biting the tail off.
Is that what you were eating when you called me so many times?
The way I thought I'm about to enjoy, I'm like, oh my God, this is so fun. 4 seconds into it, I'm sitting up like, what the hell is going on? Like, I couldn't even eat my shrimp or my broccoli trying to be healthy. Okay, so if you're watching the summer rewatch with us, baby, I don't like it, but I mean, the season, they catapult y'all into the season. I was shocked. This was not an enjoyable watch for me. My heart was racing.
Well, so here's the thing. Before they show everyone hurling themselves at the fence, they talk to the teams a little bit. And these teams are really polarizing. Like, I found myself either really, really loving Bria and Tiffany, Zev and Justin, the Globetrotters, Megan and Shane, like some of these, Brian and Erica. A lot. And then I found exactly.
I said, okay, Erica, I know why you're with Brian. I could see the lie. I said, oh, okay, bro. Okay, Erica. I see you, Brian.
Okay, so anyway, and then there's these teams like the Lance and the Jessica and Garrett of it all. But honestly, I kind of like Jessica and Garrett, but the Lance, just the Lance. There was a Lance on season 5 that also bugged me. Oh my God, it's the name. It might be in the name. I'm just realizing that in this moment.
The second Lance opened his mouth though.
Let's see if this Lance gets eliminated or not.
And then also, speaking of that, Well, I mean, tell us what happens with the teams, and then because
Okay.
I do have a question to pose.
This is not a elimination. Okay, so
But is it not though?
Well,
I mean,
you
I'm
know
just
what? You know what? You know what? Okay, I'll let you have it. He's on the race course. He eliminates a team.
that's the first thing that popped into my mind. I called you, but then I hung up because I said I'm going to bring this to her on the podcast. Now, yes, we have decided.
I mean, but they haven't decided to quit a task, and they hadn't.
So
They
right,
weren't
they didn't
unable to
quit.
quit a task. It was they just lost.
And so I thought, well, I mean, all the other teams had left.
Right, but they couldn't go any further. It wasn't because they chose not to, or they
Right.
just.
But I mean, this
I'll
last
call it a
season with the
elimination. That's
files.
fine.
No, you're not going to concede to this. I need for you. Listen, my name is Lance, and I am an attorney.
My name is Brooke, and I am an attorney.
Wait, I'm sorry. Hold on. Wait. Hold on, because I'm Lance.
Okay.
I am Lance. I got to get my bandana right. I'm Lance, and I'm an attorney. You're going to hear these points. All the teams are okay. So think about season 37, the Files brothers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, technically, they didn't give up, but they wasn't really looking for the needle in the haystack. Phil came to them. The Dungeon Brothers had left.
But it was Phil came to them, and all the other teams had checked in. This is not the end of a
I mean, right?
It's put a little asterisk there.
It's okay. So it's not a full elimination. It's a full elimination.
Yep, totes.
Because I mean, they are there. But again, I guess so maybe it's not a full elimination, because I was going to say we have some of the things that check off, but they do go to the mat. Like they do go, even though the mat is in the middle of this valley that they perform movies and high-speed chases at. But
it's cruel. Bottom line is it's cruel. So anyway, at the license plates, Maria and Tiffany are first. Marcy and Ron find it second. Megan and Shane are third. Flight Time and Big Easy are fourth. Gary and Matt are fifth. Zev and Justin, even though they realized it at the very, very beginning, are still sixth. So they're just hard to find. There's 11 in 1,000. That's come on. And then Sam and Dan are 7. Micah and Kanan are 8. Garrett and Jessica are 9. Brian and Erica, thankfully, fun one at 10. And then we have Eric. Eric and Lisa and Lance and Carrie. Eric and Carrie both say basically at the same time, is there anything clue? Duh. And so they're running around literally Lance is wants to just rip the whole fence off the posts. And Lance and Carrie find it in 11th. He is already blaming his partner. They are so loud. They are so abrasive. And just like that, Erica and Lisa are out in the shortest Amazing Race appearance ever. They started the day by saying we are going to be number 1 this season. And I think he needed to specify to win, not first out, because I think he might have just called it a little bit wrong. So
watching them talk to Phil was really hard, right? You could tell that they were so disappointed. But my girl Lisa was like, we came out here for the adventure of our life. This isn't how we wanted to place, but it just means our next adventure is waiting. And I said, we are robbed of this yoga free spirit joy of this season.
You're not going to feel robbed of anything. There's enough still going on. I promise. Okay, so the first flight has 6 teams on it. It leaves at 12:45 p.m. And the second flight has the other 5 teams on it, leaving a half hour later. What?
Okay, because now, first of all, love the older seasons, love the airport drama. And is this when people were upgrading but not upgrading, or is that another flight?
Is this where people that is no. That's not this. This is, we go to the airport. This is my favorite moment of the episode. We're at the airport. Big Easy from the Globetrotters is talking to Zev and Justin. And he asks them what they do for a living. And without missing a beat, Zev looks up and says, I play basketball for the Harlem Globetrotters.
And then Big Easy kicks it right back. And he's like, well, I'm a graduate from, I don't know what the school he was. But I was like, oh my God, Zev is trying to steal my heart.
Oh, he'll
Then
take it.
also you got Maria and Tiff talk about, first of all, and then I had forgot that you said that they had lied because them telling the story the first time we heard was like, yeah, we work for the homeless. And you know, I'm a social worker. So immediately I
Yes.
was like, oh my God, I love them already. And then we get a clip of them being like the world class champions of like poker. And so I love the fact that just right off the bat, right? They lying. They like, and we don't see this in Amazing Race because I don't think, and tell me if I'm wrong, I don't think in the Amazing Race and the newer seasons, it doesn't matter as much what you do, like what your profession is.
I think the older seasons, I think our season had some of this because there was like an alliance to like knock a team out. But I
Unless you're a
do think
millionaire.
I think the older seasons had a bit more mischief
Yeah.
than some of the newer seasons. Yeah, I agree.
Oh,
In the new seasons, I don't think people are not saying who they are or what they do.
I loved it. And then, yeah, I'm like, oh, they're so, I love the forward thinking. And then not even 2 seconds after Maria and is it Jessica? Tiffany. They bickering. And I think Maria say, girl, I'm not even talking to you right now. I said, oh, sign me up. I am
think
here.
they're great. I think they're great. So on flight 1, we have Maria and Tiffany. We have Megan and Shane, Marcy and Ron, Gary and Matt, the Globetrotters, and Zev and Justin. Flight 2 is scheduled to leave a half hour later. It has Sam and Dan, Micah and Kanan, Brian and Erica, Garrett and Jessica, and Lance and Carrie. Now, once everyone gets to Japan, they have to travel to this TV studio at the base of the Tokyo radio tower. Flight 1 lands and everyone starts running except Maria and Tiffany, who have missed the shuttle. Instead, they're fighting because this is what the two of them do. And flight 2 turns out to be a half an hour early. And so everybody is basically there at the same time.
Baby, shout out to Micah and Kanan's taxi driver. Okay, because we don't see this much on the new Amazing Race, but I want my taxi driver to break the law. Micah and Kanan's taxi driver was driving in the shoulder.
And I would never say a word, just keep going.
Listen, now I was like, I don't know how Jesus is going to feel about this, but he definitely was the wind.
Jesus took the wheel.
Okay.
Okay.
Brooke, Camhi - Goodwin. You just ate with that. Literally. Jesus. Oh, we're going to have a good summer. Jesus took the wheel. Okay. Because
that
was the one note. I said shrimp is good. And Micah and Kanan have the best taxi driver to date. And what I loved about it is while he was breaking the law, he was all happy. He was like, we gonna win.
I like when the taxi drivers feel like they're part of the team. So they all have to go to the studio and they all get there at the same time. Well, almost. This is the only gripe I have with the episode.
Okay.
So some of the teams arrive to this studio. This is the most fun. They have to play a Japanese game show, and it's called Sushi Roulette. Now, I would have taken this roadblock. Hands down, easy, no problem. What you had to do was there was this huge wheel, like a Wheel of Fortune type wheel, and it was broken up into sections, 11 sections for all the teams, I guess. And 2 of the sections had like this wasabi, they called it a wasabi bomb. It was basically just rice and wasabi smushed together, and you had to eat the entire thing in 2 minutes if it landed on you. If it didn't land on you, you had to wait until it finally did land on you. Now, here's my gripe. Teams arrive at the studio. Like Micah and Kanan are first because, Jesus. Megan and Shane, Marcy and Ron, Sam and Dan, and so on and so forth down the line. But they waited for all of the teams to arrive to start the game show. Now, I have a problem with this because if I arrive first, start spinning the wheel and see if it lands on me. I don't know why they did this. I think this is the only misstep the race takes in this first episode.
I'm Brooke. The way I'm with you on that, I agree. I'm like, what? Like, I got here first. Why am I waiting for other teams? Then the other thing that I didn't like, as the wheel spins, when I become the last team, the fact that you're still spinning and the fact that the option of me getting a regular sushi roll and I have to eat that is still into play, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, when the last teams were there, it should have just been yes or no. Like when the last one is there, they should have just gotten to go. But that is not how it happened. It says once they've all arrived, they learn the game. So this is a roadblock. One person, the host spins the wheel, the 2 wasabi bombs, if it lands on you. The host was so fun. He's been on more than once, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's on. There's another time they go to Japan and do a different Japanese game show, which was also really, really fun. It had to do with running, and someone had a really hurt leg, and they still had to do it. Someone will tell me in the comments what season it was, but I believe it's the same host who is on that episode too.
I love the host. I also, one of my other notes was I said this must have taken a long time because, baby, the host energy at the beginning was at 1,000, and towards the last couple of spins, he just was like, all right. Come on, y'all. And the live studio audience towards the end. Okay, yeah, that. Yeah. And then also I got another gripe, but we can get to it.
Okay. So anyway, if this is me and you, I'm pushing you out of the way to let me do it.
First of all, do you remember when we went to dinner in Philly with me, you, John, and
Milena.
And we went to like the Asian fusion. Do you remember me like just eating the wasabi? You're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, I like for my eyes the wasabi to like.
Okay, so neither one of us could have done this, no problem. Like the spicier the better. I ask for things not white girl spicy when I go to like an Asian restaurant because they look at me and they're like, a 3, and I'm like, I'll take the 5, thank you. Like there's no spice that's gonna cause me a problem.
And time out. Like I said, Marcy and Ron,
right?
They might be a little older. First spin, but did you see what Ron was doing? Ron was stuffing the wasabi into the rice. I said, okay, Ron.
So spin 1, it lands on Shane and Ron, and they both do it. So once you do it, you have like a colored flag that they gave you, and you have to march 20 people from the studio. Oh, right. You have 2 minutes to eat it. If you don't eat it, you're going to have to wait and try again. If you do eat it, they give you a little colored flag, and you have to march 20 of these audience members across the city to this shrine, which is the pit stop. So it's sort of a shortened leg, but on the first leg, Shane and Ron get landed on. They both do it. Ron, like you said, stuffs the wasabi into the rice. Very smart. I mean, that way in the first bite, you're not like blown out from the beginning.
Also, and they the first bite though.
And me too. And then so those 2 are off, taking their people across the city. Now, my question is this. I would love to ask someone who was on this season, could you have had everybody hold hands? Because people are losing Asians. Like people are just losing their audience members. I wonder if there was a rule that said you can't like form a human train or something like that. Because I would have been like, everyone hold the hand of the person in front of you. And
that's the thing and I only saw like 1 or 2 teams do it. Somebody in the front and somebody in the back. Hello. Sidebar. Back to Ron and Marcy.
Yes, you could be Marcy.
If it wasn't first of all, where the hell did she get that from? Okay. But if it wasn't for Ron stuffing the wasabi in it, then all of a sudden, Marcy just comes alive. And Marcy is like, when you're in like 3rd or 4th grade, you got that older but fun gym teacher. Marcy has a bullhorn. Marcy's like
has a harmonica. I think she's playing the harmonica.
Right.
She has her team cheering blue, blue, blue as they go through the city, which you know what? It works because they're not losing anybody. Everyone's staying in it. They all see everybody cheering. They're doing a great job. While they are but Shane and Megan, on the other hand, are just running around screaming, who speaks English? Who speaks English? They find a woman who speaks English. And since the rules haven't changed yet, they take her with them. And so now they're a team of 3, Shane, Megan, and woman. And this team of now 23 people, 20 studio audience members, and these 3 are making their way through the city as well. While this is happening, on spin 2, it lands on Garrett and it lands on Justin. They both do it without really any sort of problem. Justin and Zev find an American man who shows them where to go. And The only problem is Zev and I feel for people. They have like a woman with a broken shoe on their team. They have to like basically carry her along with them. They're having all sorts of the groups of 20 are not evenly distributed, I don't think.
And some of these teams have elderly women. And it's like, especially towards the end, when a team lost somebody, and then I think is it Lance or is it Garrett?
Please hold. Garrett and Jessica has a woman on their team who needs to pee. Like, would you stop and let somebody go pee? They like waited for her to pee.
Absolutely. But first of all, I don't think she had to go pee. Okay. Because she was hunched over like you're lactose intolerant and you just had a bowl of cereal, creamer in your coffee, and a glass of milk. She was bent over like Rumble in the Tumble. Okay. So no, I felt that for her. But also, like, that's at that moment I realized, like, these are real people. They've been sitting in that studio audience for y'all to eat these daggone wasabi balls. Like, yes. And then the way that some of these teams are running, I'm like, hello, y'all are not taking care of the people.
I did not sign up for this. Right, exactly. Because as anybody who's run The Amazing Race knows, the couples that you sing for and the people, they're not real couples. They're like actors, or like the people, these were probably extras that were paid a little bit of money to sit in an audience for a day. I don't know if they totally understood they were going to be dragged around or lifted up and thrown through a city, but I digress. Spin 3, we have Maria. Poor Maria. She gets so close. Tiffany is scared that Maria is going to quit because she does not get it on the first try. And if you don't get it on the first try, you have to wait for it to land on you again. Cut to spin 4. Maria.
I was worried. I said, oh,
I was actually worried because they're showing like it's 5, 4, 3. And she's like, with less than a second to spare. I did not know if they were going to give it to her. If they didn't want to, they probably didn't have to. Like, it was that close. But they get it and they're off. I write, why didn't teams have people hold hands? But whatever. This is how far ahead Team 1 was, because at this point, Megan and Shane check in to the pit stop. People are still waiting for the spinny thing. But Megan and Shane have found their woman, and she has led them and their entire team to the pit stop. They win a trip to Aspen and Vail, and they just look like the ski bunny types to me, so I feel like they'll have fun with that. Back at the roulette, for the first time, the wheel lands on Big Easy and lands. I have to turn, this is me saying this, so this means something. I have to turn the volume down a little bit when Lance and Carrie are on the screen. The sheer shrillness, and again, this is me, and volume that the two of them have at each other. Even when they're not mad, they're just cheering each other on. It's like, I say this with love, but there are certain languages where even if you're saying, I love you, you're like German. It's not the most beautiful language. I mean, right. You could be saying, I love you so much, and it just sounds like, it just sounds harsh. The two of them, even when they're saying, I love you, it's like, I love you. Like, it's harsh. There's a harshness in the two of them, completely counteracted by the fact that Big Easy is like hamming it up and having the best time. And I'm actually like, he's not going to finish it because he's just having fun, but he finishes it so fast. And as does Lance. They both get it done because we know Lance is going to do it. He's the best at everything. He's the Bernie. There's nothing he can't do. There's nothing he's not best at. So they both get it. At this time, Zev and Justin get to the pit stop and they check in second. We have a conversation with Phil and Zev and Justin, and Phil talks to Zev a little bit and talks to him about, his routine and how this is so different, because Zev mentions that with Asperger's, it helps to have a daily routine, and he's dealing with not having that here. But Zev and Justin both talk about how proud they are of each other. It's a really endearing conversation. It's interesting to me because we just had a season with a neurodivergent contestant, and now this season has one. It's a very different manifestation on The Amazing Race.
But I will say that Zev is diagnosed and knows like how important his schedule is. And so like, to the team that we just watched, at this point in time, said person didn't know. So,
we're not going to name. Like,
I mean, Jonathan, right? And so,
yeah,
like,
right.
again, like I said, I'm not making excuses, but again, Jonathan ain't had no schedule. He couldn't control the heat. Like, so in my opinion, it does lead to not making excuses, but it does lead to seeing more of their, like Jonathan's behavior. But I mean, listen, Zed and Justin, they have my heart.
They're in second, and I'm thrilled because if they never go home, it'll be too soon. So now we're at spin 6. It lands on just Kanan. Kanan does it. The fun part about what we see next is Big Easy and Flight Time are leading people through the streets of Tokyo. Big Easy is so large.
Both of them, black men, and they're basketball players.
Right. No one's getting lost.
Right. They know who to follow. It reminded me of my time on Cagayan when we were flying out and we had to stop in Manila. And again, we can't talk. We can't do any of this. And I'll never forget, I was like behind Uncle Cliff. And I know in these Asian countries, basketball is huge. They love basketball. And people were coming up to Cliff Robinson saying, Cliff, 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 Cliff. And so it was like so interesting because like our handlers at the time kind of like, obviously Cliff is a celebrity, right? He's a former basketball player. And so like they didn't want him to be rude because in nature he was like such a nice guy. So they kind of like ushered us off so that Cliff could like engage with his fans. And so I thought that was so interesting just seeing this. And I'm like, they're like 7 foot taller than the tallest person there. So they're going to kill this challenge.
So while that's happening, Lance and Carrie also find a local to help them by screaming in her face. And then spin 7 happens. It lands on Brian. It lands on Gary. So Brian nearly throws out. Like he's not Gary does it. Brian does not. And this is where I know you just talk about Erica. Like
I was just about to say, Erica was so supportive, so wasabi, like so supportive. I mean, really, when she could have been like, swallow that, and so supportive, so like, I mean, she was hype, but she still was like not anything negative. Now I'm gonna put a pin in that, Brian. I'm gonna put a pin in it like your book bag. I'm gonna put a pin in that, Brian.
So is that for me to keep talking? Okay, so yeah. While Brian doesn't do it, we cut to Tiffany and Maria, who are lost. They walk through some demonstration. I don't know where they're going. I feel like the race probably should have ushered them elsewhere, but okay. And at the pit stop, Lance and Carrie, the shocker of the day. 3rd place, Lance and Carrie. And so they just keep cutting back and forth. Spin 8, Dan only. So this is Sam and Dan. In the speediest eating of a wasabi bomb of the day, Dan does it. He doesn't need 2 minutes. He doesn't even need 1 minute. The man gulps this thing down as if a snake unhinged its jaw, just threw the mice in and was finished. And only Brian is left. So he eats it alone in an empty studio with 0 time to spare. And Eric is screaming, "You can throw up later!" Like, and she's right. Throw up later, yeah. Deal. Whatever, that's fine. And so back on the street, Maria and Tiffany decide to work with Sam and Dan. They have decided that these 2 handsome men are going to be the people that they flirt with. The handsome men are going to allow themselves to be flirted with, but are not going to share the information that they are both gay and have absolutely no interest in Maria or Tiffany.
And they decide to work together. And so I'm like, okay, I love this. I love Sam and Dan. I love Maria and Tiffany. And at some point in time, Maria and Tiffany start going down the steps, and Sam and Dan are like, wait. We just saw another team go that way. And they're like, well, we working together. And Maria and Tiffany was like, well, if y'all want to go that way, you can. Sam and Dan said, see you later. I love that. I feel like we don't see enough of that on the new era of Amazing Race. I feel like when teams work together, they just work together. No, baby, I'm going to work with you until I
unless
like,
you're Erica and Melinda, because then they're like, nope, see ya, we're going that way, because Erica's internal GPS is better than, I don't know, Google Maps. And always follow Erica. That is my answer. If she's in front of me going somewhere, I'm going that direction. Back at the pit stop, in 4th place, we have Marcy and Ron, which I love. And then in fifth, that's fourth. And then in fifth place, we have the Globetrotters. Brian and Erica are moving with their team. Everyone is lost on the streets. It becomes madness. But in the surprise finish of the day, Brian and Erica end up in sixth, passing so many teams because their sense of direction is quite good. And Gary and Matt end up in seventh. Tiffany and Maria have lost two people, and also Tiffany has her rolling bag that she's like trying to keep up behind her. So they're going to find the people they lost. Honestly, I'm wondering if I just like wait for them to show up and then jump on the map before the team. Like, she thinks that another team has picked up one of their players. And so a team has 21 and they only have 19. Like, do you wait there for another team to show up? You like, you're mine, and jump on the mat? Or do you go back into the streets and try and find this one rogue lady?
Right. Well, I think it was two of them. And I love, in the heat of them trying to find it, I love Maria being like, listen, I don't really want to have this conversation right now, though. But like you said, hey, Maria, go search, go find us. And Tiffany said, I keep up with the people. Maria was like, I don't want to bring that up, but I just do want to bring it up that you said you will watch the people and I will lead. I was like, oh, Maria is me.
I love them. Okay, so back at the pit stop, Garrett and Jessica are there, even with the lady who needed to pee. And Sam and Dan come in ninth.
Allegedly.
Allegedly pee. Okay, so Micah and Kanan arrive, and they're also missing a person. So we have two teams out there. But then they find her. Kanan just picks her up and carries her to the mat. I don't know if he asked her permission, but he does it.
Right. I didn't like that because it looked like that older lady was crying. Okay. Like, she was like, I'm like, hello, these are people.
I know, but pick her up and carry her to the mat and then give her a big hug and apologize and buy her a
drink. And they didn't even do that, though.
Eliminate.
He didn't even do that. Now, mind you, Kanan, if you want to pick somebody up, I mean, Thanksgiving hasn't happened yet.
No. Revisit this conversation in a handful of episodes. Okay. So, and then Maria and Tiffany are in 11th place, which means they're going home, right? No. This is my only other gripe with the episode. I forgot I had two. Sorry.
Me
Although,
too.
honestly, I don't know, because they eliminated someone so early. So I don't know. But Maria and Tiffany get there and they're told at leg one. They have done this other times where leg one is a non-elimination, but leg one is a non-elimination. They get a 2-hour penalty and they have to do a speed bump in the next episode. I like that there's a speed bump and it's not just a penalty. And that is how the first half ends. But
my question is, right? Well, first of all, because I did think it was unfair. I'm like, wait a minute. Like, immediately in my mind, I'm thinking like, Erica and Lisa couldn't get this grace. But mind you, because it was Maria and Tiffany, I was happy. But as we go into the second part of the episode, where was the 2 hours?
Well, we'll show you. So the 2 hours, they leave 2 hours later. So the only reason I'm sort of okay with it is because this episode is a double episode. It's sort of a mega leg, and it was a mega leg before they coined the term mega leg. So we learned that Tokyo is the busiest city in the country, but it used to be like a very quiet fishing village. So I actually really like, this, when they stay in a city and you see two very different portions or vibes from a city. You see the busiest crossing like in the world, and you see a quiet fishing village. Okay, so teams leave the shrine from the pit stop and head to Ho Chi Minh in Vietnam, where they'll take a 2-hour bus ride to their next clue. Okay, Megan and Shane leave first at 12:19. We find out that Shane is more of like a go with the flow, figure things out when you get there. Would annoy the crap out of me because I'm a type A planner kind of person. Zev and Justin leave at 12:36. They talk more about his Asperger's. Zev starts saying he's not much of a people person. Same.
Right. Okay. Until I get to know you. Maybe even when I get to know you, right. You're not my people, that I'm the person too. So like, I was like, yes, I love Zev.
I don't know. When I met him, he seemed very personable and like a people person, but they also say they're going to use the Asperger's to the advantage, which I like the fact that they're like, look, we know this is it. We know it makes us look weak. We're not weak. And you're going to see in this episode how not weak they are.
And what did I say in our cast assessment? I said it is your super power.
Lance and Carrie leave at 12:40. They are already frustrated because he's always breathing down her neck. And I don't feel like this is the beginning of a great leg for them. Marcy and Ron are a minute later. Flight Time and Big Easy are a minute after that. everyone, when they leave, for the most part, goes into this hotel to like check flights, and some people book tickets. When Flight Time and Big Easy go into the hotel, like they're like, "Oh, we know you. You're Globetrotters. We're gonna help you." Like a guy who in the hotel is like, "No, I'm gonna help them."
And was it Marcy? Like, you're only helping them in. But
and
also,
like, they're the Globetrotters.
Let's talk about this nuance, though, Brooke, right? Like, this is 2009. When people are getting their clue, some teams are like, let's just get, and I think it's like $300 for this leg. Some teams are just headed straight to the airport. Other teams are going to the business center to go on track. Like, how far has the Amazing Race come? Like, people were actually on Travelocity typing in their information. And do we think Lance was the one that was typing in the information? No. But I thought that was so interesting, though, to see them type it in. And in my mind, I'm like, is this going to pay off?
Well, what would you do? Would you go to the business center and buy a ticket, or are you going right to the airport?
I think, okay.
Also keeping in mind that it's the middle of the night.
Right. So, but see, that's another thing that also confuses me sometimes, because it's like, when you ever have like a red eye and you get to the airport and you be like, oh, wait, the airport is closed. But like, does the airport really close? So I think if I were at the front of the pack, I think my race sense is telling me to go straight to the airport. If I'm in the middle,
drag your ass to that hotel.
See, but again, it's 2009.
But here's the thing: people bought tickets on the internet, but then some people just looked up flights and then went to the airport. That's a waste of time. So buy your tickets and get to the airport. This was also, I believe, still in the time where you could buy tickets and then buy more tickets. I don't think this was in the era where once you bought one set, you were done.
They had a $300 budget. Then my question of like,
no. $300 does not include airline tickets. It's money for the leg, not including airline tickets. Airline tickets, your camera guy has a credit card.
Okay, you're answering my question, because I said, well, how you all on Travelocity? And I hope the scammers weren't back then, because they could have got that information. But okay, but I was like, oh my God, this is so nuanced. To like go to the business center of the lobby and literally book your tickets on Travelocity. I didn't realize what teams looked up flights and then went to the airport.
Kind of feel like it was Megan and Shane, although I'll have to look at when we get there in the notes. So, all right. So Gary and Matt go right to the airport. Brian and Erica go right to the airport. Garrett and Jessica go to the hotel, as does Sam and Dan. And Micah and Kanan, they go to the hotel. And this is where we learn a little bit more about Micah and Kanan's relationship. He says that when it comes to Micah, he is, and I quote, so I don't get it wrong, sexually pure. And she likes that because that means he likes her for her. Okay, speak on it.
Mother Mary was a virgin. That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay, well, I have nothing to say.
But I also am gonna say, maybe that's why AOL dating ain't working for me. But I'm gonna need to test drive my car before I take it off the parking lot. Okay, I want to see a couple of cars. Anyway, okay, but I tried motorcycle too.
Otherwise, you think a Ford Focus is just the best car on the planet. If a Ford Focus is the only thing you've ever driven.
It's reliable, Brooke. It's good on gas miles. Okay. But I might.
Sure, I'm not speaking ill of the Ford Focus. I'm just saying, if you've never driven, an Audi, then how do you know?
Some of the cars are stick shift. Okay, I mean.
My parents watch this, Brice. Okay.
Hi, Mama Camhi. Hey, Papa Camhi.
But 2 hours later at 3:22, Tiffany and Maria leave.
Oh, okay. So that was a 2 hour. But see, okay,
2 hours, right?
Make it make sense,
right?
How does that matter if?
Well, they also have to do a speed bump, so that's the difference. So yes, they had to leave late, which didn't really do anything for them, but they do have to do a speed bump, which will come up later in the leg. So at the airport,
and I did like that speed bump. I thought that speed bump was so appropriate.
Perfect, easy, perfect. Took a little bit of time. Was more of an inconvenience than something that couldn't have been done. That's a good speed bump. So at the airport, Brian and Erica, Maria and Tiffany, Gary and Matt, and Megan and Shane, who went to the hotel and should have bought tickets there, go right to the desk, and they're told that economy is full on this flight. So this is where, like you said earlier, they're like, Brian starts saying, look, And he starts basically begging. We
on,
can
Brian.
sit in business, but we have to pay economy. We can't pay for business tickets. I think at one point he's like, can you tell some of your economy people, can you bump them to business and we will like pay the, like, he's trying to work any sort of magic that he can. And I am for it.
Use that privilege, Brian.
Mhm.
I ain't mad. I was loving it. Now, and so it's a couple of teams there. And then this is another thing that like confused me because then Maria and Tiffany arrive.
Mhm.
And to my
Lance.
knowledge, what has
Mhm.
happened multiple times this season with all of these teams, when a team arrives to the counter, the team be like, I want what they having. Like, I mean, we've seen it on the bus. If we haven't gotten to the bus yet, we've seen it at every point. So why, when Tiffany and Maria, is it because they are rolling their bags? Like, I think the teams at the counter are like,
I think there's a couple of things. Okay. Lance is the first one, I think, who starts to say that Maria and Tiffany should have gone home. As a lawyer, he's very cutthroat and he feels if you're last, you should leave. Okay. But so they're not Maria and Tiffany don't seem to be the warmest and the fuzziest. But long story short, everyone gets on the same flight because of Brian's begging. I'm all for begging on The Amazing Race. But since Maria and Tiffany
on that though?
To beg at the counter?
No.
Oh.
Okay. So do you feel like, because if you can't, because the rule is you're gonna fly anything, but it can't be business, right?
You have to sit in economy. Yeah.
So
I mean, the rules have changed. Like you have to pay economy. Like you can't pay for a business class ticket. You can. Yeah. So what's your question?
I guess my question was like, did they break the rules or did they bend it? And I think that's why I like some of these seasons where you see like necessarily rules aren't in place, but they're like, we'll ask for forgiveness, not permission.
So it's interesting because at this time, they're still allowed to have people lead them places. So over the course of the seasons, the rules have, matured. And like on my season, you couldn't have someone lead you. You could have someone tell you, you could have someone point. You could technically, which is some of the things that we did, we would lead the person and the person would be like that way because they're not leading you. But like just barely, because the rules are such as what they are. I read them forwards, backwards, and sideways to make sure that I could get every advantage that I could. But anyway, I do not think they broke any rule. It sounds like you read it. You have to sit in economy, and whatever else the airline could do to finagle other people, not our problem, but we have to sit there. Anyway, he begs his face off and they all get on the same flight. So Maria and Tiffany have seemed to rub everybody the wrong way. This is where in the airport, Tiffany is recognized by some American guy who was like, do you play poker? And she's like, yes, I do. And he's like, you're like the top 15 in the world. And she's like, yes, I am. And Sam and Dan.
She was like actually 13, but
Sam and Dan overhear it. And then like wildfire, I think it spreads to all the other teams that these two are not ladies from a homeless shelter. They are professional poker players.
Here was my gripe with Tiffany though. In that moment, say no. Like, but that's how but also I love her ego though. Like she wasn't gonna miss the opportunity to hear, but like I felt like she should have said no. Like if that were me,
like she should have like probably said no and then walked away and been like, yes, can you help me with some stuff? Like that's who I am. Like tell where no one else can hear you. But okay, Sam and Dan basically tattle on them and tell all of the other teams that these two are professional poker players. But then in the next little snippet we see, Maria and Tiffany are talking to Sam and Dan and they're like, we couldn't decide if you guys were gay or not. Like we just couldn't.
It's the yellow passport holders for me.
Yeah. Maria and Tiffany's secret is out. Dan and Sam's secret is not out because they're like, no, our sister-in-law bought this for us, but they totally sidestep the question in the most masterful sidestep ever. And all teams are on the same flight to Ho Chi Minh City. So in Ho Chi Minh City, Dan and Sam and Maria and Tiffany all get in the same van cab, which I'm fine with personally. Save your money, be with a team, especially if you can outsmart them or outrun them. And Sam and Dan or Salmon, if you look at the notes that I have in front of me, start heckling the girls, being like, poker, poker, poker. And they're laughing and everyone's like, okay, our secret is out. Ha, 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 ha. And the weather is really the biggest thing to overcome this leg because it is flooding. I don't know how people are riding these mopeds in the middle of Ho Chi Minh City with like the better part, probably a foot of water. Like people get out of their cabs. The only person with any intelligence here is Justin. Justin takes his shoes off because everyone else is walking around in soggy socks. Justin got the memo. Was like, I think I'm just gonna take my shoes off.
Hello, Jeff.
Yeah.
Hello, Jeff. Jeff could have took some notes from Zed. Mind you, I was cracking up with Justin. Was like, "Are you sure you're ready for that in Vietnam?" And Zed was right. Also,
Zed was like, "Everyone else has their shoes off.
Yeah,
like, why
right.
wouldn't I have my shoes off?" Yeah.
And then while people are in their taxi cabs, first of all, we're in another country, right? Like every country is different. You have to find the beauty. And sometimes even when it's like you're uncomfortable, right? Like you can still see the beauty in different countries. And of course, Lance talk about, this isn't a country I would want to buy beachfront property in. I'm never coming back. I was like,
good, they don't want you.
Here we go, Lance. Here we go.
They don't want you. Anyway, everyone gets to the bus station. The first bus leaves at 3:30. We have Sam and Dan, Maria and Tiffany, Flight Time, Big Easy, Micah and Kanan, and Marcy and Ron. The interesting thing here is the buses leave when they are full. This is like an interesting concept to me. So it's like the first bus leaves and the next bus is not set to leave for like an hour and 15 minutes. Right. And so for the second bus, it's Zev and Justin, Brian and Erica, Gary and Matt, Jessica and Garrett, Lance and Carrie, and Megan and Shane. They see the first bus leave.
This is the second time in the first episode that Brian has thought out of the box. Erica,
we tried to do this too. Just side note, we tried to do the exact same thing in Vietnam as well. Because we had on a bus myself and Scott and London and Logan, and Tara and Joey were behind us, and we knew they were coming. And I go to the bus driver, "Can we leave? We will pay you." And we were gathering money together. The four of us were putting together our money, and Tara and Joey just get to the door, and we're like, "Don't open it." But he opened the door and he let them on, and we're like, "Okay, well, we're not paying you anymore. Everyone's here." And so whatever. It did not work for us. It did work here. So everyone decides to pay a little bit of money.
Can we give Brian some credit here?
Was about to. Go ahead. Yes.
I'm just saying, what did I say in our cast assessment? Brian buckled that. Like I said, okay, Brian, I see what you're doing here. Okay. Erica, you got you a good one. Also second, before when the first bus was leaving and it was Maria and Jessica.
Tiffany.
Right. Tiffany, I was loving how when people were like walking up to the bus, Tiffany was like, "We're full. It's full."
Well, the second bus now is basically a private bus tour, like super not crowded because they have just decided to pay. And this is genius. So other than the fact that they have like chicken and livestock and whatnot under their bus, this is my other honestly, Zev has every favorite moment I have in this episode. There is a gentleman on the bus who seems cold, and Zev decides, I'm going to give them the jacket off my back because he seems cold. Will Zev need that jacket later? Maybe, but he's just such a good person that he doesn't even think I might need that. He thinks in this moment, this guy needs it more than I do. So Zev, snaps to you yet again. Yes. Big fan. So,
Now I was just going to say, shout out to Erica, who even peeped that. And like Erica was saying like how just nice he was. But yeah, that was so amazing. Like I was like, come on, Zev. But also that man at work, Zev, so he probably running back and forth. So it might look like he cold, but like he not. But maybe.
He took the jacket.
He definitely he put it right on.
Yep. So the first bus gets to this boat terminal, but the boat terminal doesn't open till 7 a.m. Gotta love another equalizer. And so everyone sits down. They all eat local food together. They hang out outside overnight. Everyone seems really, really happy, except.
Well, I don't know how this. I don't know the accommodations of this country. It doesn't seem great.
Lance is visibly uncomfortable. Then this is the only. Maria and Tiffany start talking to the camera that Zev and Justin are their least favorite team because they don't get warm vibes from them. And having met Zev and Justin, they are very warm people. Especially because Maria and Tiffany are like, we don't like them. They don't give off warm vibes. I mean, you're the ones lying about what you do and who you are and like whatever. But then they also go after Lance, calling him a meathead. And I think that's really funny. So I also know plenty of meathead lawyers. So it is possible to be a meathead and a lure. Okay, so 7 a.m. rolls around and everybody runs down the dock like at top speed, and it is a route information, and it says race around the Mekong Delta on a boat to this mud pit, collect a ton of mud, and fertilize a fruit tree to get your next clue. Maria and Tiffany have to do a little speed bump before that, where they need to get the ingredients for pho, and then they have to make the pho, and then they have to give it to like the deck captain, and then they get their clue. They do this so fast, and they are back at it immediately.
I have a question though. While they got the route information, they had to get on the speedboat. I was confused as to, did they have to direct the boat person where to go? Because it seemed like some of the teams were like, it seemed as if like they had to direct. And I was like, well, if I'm getting on a boat, shouldn't they tell me where to go?
I don't know if they had to direct or if some of the teams who were just like really type A personalities were like, just go around this way or try and go that way, or try, like, we're just trying to like tell the guy how to do his job. I don't know. We do learn here that Micah has a little fear of water. I know I called her a semi-professional swimmer earlier. She is not. She is just learning to swim. Just leave that right here in your head for right now, Brice. Just let that like fester in the back of your mind. Megan and Shane get to the mud pit first. Shane jumps in immediately because, as we know, he doesn't think things through and doesn't look before he leaps, gets stuck, loses a shoe. But he's strong and big and gets his way out of there, and it's fine. People are slipping and sliding everywhere. Erica took her shoes off. Again, smart lady. Everyone else is losing shoes and getting stuck. You just mud and seawater. Like, shoes don't dry that fast. Like, take them off whenever possible. Most people in this country are walking around barefoot anyway, so just do it too. Live like a local.
Jeffrey. I do have a gripe with this challenge. We don't need to talk about the order, but I believe from what I watched and I rewound it, the instructions were you had to get enough mud to cover the red line of the tree and space it out. Now, again, I love some of the innovation of these teams because some of the teams was like, well, let's just touch the red line, touch it, and then spread it all out. I said, oh, smart. Now, I have noticed at least 4 teams, first of all, was not happy with this judge. First of all, this judge was like, I'm happy that they are fertilizing my tree, so I don't care. I saw 4 teams, the Globetrotters as one of them. When they get their clue, I could still see the red tape.
I think you had to touch it. I don't think you had to completely cover it.
It said covered.
Well, so then we should take their money back for winning the season, and that should be the end of it.
So I just want to say, while you out here doing these cover shoots, Phil, okay, let's be cognizant of the rules. But mind you, I wasn't that mad, but I was really, I thought it was so smart because I was like, oh my God, that's going to be a lot of mud. But listen, just cover it, just tap it.
I mean, ask for a check. If they say no, you can always go do more. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be passable. So everyone, right? Everyone does it. Zev and Justin have a little bit of a kerfuffle as they're getting back into their boat. Justin falls right on into the water. They start to go back and they realize they don't have their clue. So they have to turn back around. Now, they have to turn back around and get their clue. But part of me is thinking, you can't check into a pit stop without your passport. That's it, basically. So did they really need to go get it? Or could they have just asked someone else passing them what the clue said, which they probably could have, but they turn around, they go back, they thankfully find the clue dangling off the side of like the dock and grab it, because for all we know, it could have just been floating in the water somewhere.
Right.
They randomly found it. And the clue says, return your boat to the dock and travel to Kai Field for your next challenge. And it's an animal challenge. So I'm very excited. Okay. Yeah. Megan and Shane get there first, and we see it is a roadblock. It says, who is feeling ducky? And farmers apparently use ducks to rid their rice paddies of insects. So teams have to keep all of their ducks in a row, literally, and take like a flock of 150 ducks from one pen across the bridge, all over, back again, and back into the pen for in 10 minutes to get their next clue. If they don't do it, they have to go to the end of the line, wait for an open pen, and try again. This is like just some like training exercise. So Megan decides to do it first. She runs out of time pretty immediately. I think what people are, everyone's so frantic, and people are like failing to understand that like animals give back the energy that you are giving to them. So what's so interesting to me, where is it? What is so interesting to me? Who ends up? Oh, here we go. So I'm actually surprised that who does this first, but Sam and Dan get there. Which is it? Dan? Dan's the one who is the Nick of this, the one who is not calm. Is that
Yes,
Nick or Mike?
I think
Okay.
so.
Right. So Sam is like much more chill and is like the older brother who's like, you need to relax, stay calm. Dan doesn't know how to stay calm. He is yelling and screaming. Sam misses one duck, but he gets it on the first try. They are in and out of the ducks first, which I'm actually sort of shocked by. But then we have Matt. Matt and Gary show up. Matt is quacking at the ducks, like having fun, dancing with the flags and enjoying himself. He says he's worked with animals before, and clearly it shows. They're in and out of there, and they are second. Flight Time gets in there. He's also everyone who has fun with them and is like not screaming at the animals seems to do well. He gets it on his first try and he's third. Carrie, strangely, even though Lance is screaming at her, I guess the ducks don't feel like they're being screamed at, does really well, gets it on her first try and she's fourth. Meanwhile, poor Megan, who's been there since the first, is still struggling. And then Zev and Justin show up. Zev, the duck whisperer, knows how to stay calm. And it's just like, hey, little ducks, let's go. And the ducks are like, okay, duck father, we're great. Let's do this. And he leads them right over and he leads them right back. And he's nice and calm. In and out, fifth place, the end. And then we're back to the chaos because then Tiffany shows up. She had ducks growing up. It helps her too. She's in and out in sixth. We still have Megan. We still have Jessica, who got there toward the beginning with her Colombian temper. She's starting to lose it a little bit. She's like sort of shut down and given up. She runs out of time a couple of times, as does Megan.
This is where you get to see the real Garrett, where Garrett is like yelling at her. And then he tells the camera, he's like, this is what happens in our relationship. She gets upset and I don't know what to do to calm her down. Well, hey, Garrett, maybe you just leave her. Maybe like she can calm herself down. Maybe the agitation of you trying to calm her down, which is not her coping mechanism, maybe that agitates it. Game changer.
This is me because I sometimes get frustrated when I'm doing something like by myself. Like I'm not looking for somebody else to help me. So now Matt just knows to like yell like, everything okay? And I'm like, good, handling. And he's like, cool. So like if I need help, I'll ask for help. Otherwise, I don't really need help.
I just thought it was just so interesting. Well, just again, I just thought it was just interesting with Garrett was like how like he's trying to be the the fixer and putting the problem on Jessica, but really it's like you're the problem in the equation.
And you watch Jessica, who then is like, look, calm yourself down. She takes a minute, she calms herself down because she soothes herself. She's fine. Erica, however, she's talking to the ducks like I would have at the start. She starts to get frustrated. Brian tells her to calm down. She's trying to do it in sections. She forgets to close the gate at one point. And then Brian's like trying to cheer her on. And she's like, don't you dare get disappointed in me.
Well, because I felt like, and I feel her because I don't think Brian was that supportive. Like he was getting frustrated. He was, rah! And it's like, Erica didn't have that temper with you.
I feel like he was getting so.
I felt like he was.
Upset.
I felt like, and again, maybe he wasn't screaming it, and we were just watching it. But we could, and that's when Erica was like, "Don't you get disappointed with me?" Like you could physically see the disappointment. And I'm thinking, like 20 minutes ago when you was with wasabi, Erica was like, "Wasabi, wasabi, wasabi." But I was cracking up where Erica was like, "Oh baby, I know what I'm going to eat for dinner tonight."
Duck. So she's like begging the duck. So she's running out of time. So these three ladies are all having a problem. Marcy is in and out. She's ninth. Micah, however, she's like kind of clueless. Kanan is freaking out on the side. Like Jesus has not shown up for this competition. She's like, she is running out of time. She's freaking out. He's freaking out. Thankfully, she ultimately gets it right before Marcy, because I cannot listen to these two scream anymore. Like, I've legitimately lost my mind listening to these two. They're in 8th. Marcy was in 9th. And Megan and Jessica are now still just waiting for a pen to become available. So everyone else who's finished, it says make your way to this bay and search along the docks for a riverboat, which is the pit stop. En route to the pit stop, Sam and Dan start getting in a fight. Flight Time and Big Easy decide to follow them to where they're going and decide we can outrun these two little white men. So fine. And Gary and Matt are also very close to the pit stop. They find the route marker first, and the father-son team ends up in first place, and they each win a kayak.
I'm like, but how foreshadowing is Amazing Race in season 15 giving out a kayak, and now in season 37 they use the website kayak for I just was saying foreshadowing.
Really long game. Really long game. Sam and Dan come in second. Flight Time and Big Easy are a half a step behind them. Lance and Carrie are fourth. He is like too intense. Like he's like,
is he the one that pushed the guy on the bike? Because it was one of the racers that when they got to the turn, they like ran into a bike and like the guy like fumbled and they didn't even check to see if you're okay or anything. I'm like, oh my God, this is unhinged. Please check the people. Like we are guests.
Keep watching. Country.
I was like, oh my God.
Okay, well, it only gets better from here. Zev and Justin are 5th. Megan and Shane have finished and caught up because their sense of direction is great. 6th. Maria and Tiffany and their rolling luggage come in 7th. Micah and Kanan are 8th. And Ron and Marcy are 9th. So now back at the roadblock. Oh, I think I said it wrong before. I think you said it was Megan, but it was Erica. Sorry. Back at the roadblock, Erica has one rogue duck to get. She gets it in 10th. Jessica gets it a millisecond later in last, and the two of them are both running to the pit stop. Brian and Erica, thankfully, get there in 10th, and Garrett and Jessica are eliminated. He basically beats up the boat, but like for a second, he's very, very upset.
But I mean, isn't this the same person that said that his partner had a temper, and that like, and I'm like,
and if it doesn't work out on the race, it might not work out in life. So where are they now, you ask?
Yes.
Okay, I'll tell you. Garrett proposed to Jessica immediately after the race. They planned a wedding for 2010. They're still married. They have 3 beautiful daughters, and they live in California together.
Oh, they made it work. Okay. Because
apparently he told a couple of news outlets that they played up the rockiness of their relationship, and he didn't even think that it would make the air, so that it was kind of funny for their friends to see that it made the air, and then they got engaged immediately thereafter.
That is funny. Well, I love Jessica. Okay. Garrett hit that boat. But very interesting. We are off to I mean,
so what do you that's one. I mean, what do you think?
That was a lot for this is what I will say. For this to be a 90-minute episode, I didn't agree with a lot of the beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was action-packed. Like I was sitting at the edge of my bed eating my shrimp and broccoli. Like it was very interesting. I just hate in the beginning of the seasons when it's hard for me to place names and faces. Obviously, it's like I know my favorites. So I'm excited to say the least, but I am more excited to continue to watch the episodes. And so I can get a better facial memory recognition with the teams. But no, this, I think we're in for a treat. I think you did a big one. You did your big one, Brooke. I think you did.
Well, I'm glad that you liked it. I'm glad that you're willing to continue to watch. We do have some special guests joining us throughout the season to recap the episodes. A lot of them are winners, or the people you love, or the people you love to not love, or the people. I think you're going to have fun. I think it's going to be a good time, and we'll surprise you with some guest podcasters, and the people will watch, and I hope the people will enjoy. And leave your notes below and any suggestions you have, because we read them all.
Yes, leave your notes below, but please, no spoilers. I am going into episode 2 after we finish this podcast, and we'll be back soon with your summer rewatch of Amazing Race season 15. This has been your episode 1 recap. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Bye.
Bye.
It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You better listen in public, might make your stomach hurt. Ooh. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to unwind, you better get that box wine. It's the Purple Pants Podcast. You're trying to get your snack, you better hurry right back though. It's the Purple Pants. It's the Purple Pants.